welcome everyone. We all have been hearing about Israel as a huge economy, and we all also hear about Israel's brilliant defense system. And such was this Operation Thunderbolt. We'll dive deep into this Operation Thunderbolt and we'll live this Operation Thunderbolt today. Welcome to the Daily Dose, but for a change, I have diverted the topic from top 5 current affairs, boring top 5 current affairs, to Operation Thunderbolt. Let us keep moving. Let us start with some interesting facts related to Operation Thunderbolt. Now, it was a success. Operation Thunderbolt was a successful counter-terrorist hostage rescue mission carried out by the commandos by the Israel Defense Forces at Entebbe Airport. Now, this Entebbe Airport is in Uganda, and that's why Uganda has a crucial role to play in this Operation Thunderbolt. And that is the reason Operation Thunderbolt is also called Operation Entebbe. Now, at this Entebbe Airport, everything, the whole Ramayana happened at this Entebbe Airport. The rescue mission, the attacking of the hijackers, everything, assassination of these hijackers, everything happened at this Entebbe Airport. Now, Air France Flight 139 departed from Tel Aviv, that is in Israel, carrying 246 Jewish and Israeli passengers and 12 of its crew members. The plane flew to Athens, Greece, picking additional 58 passengers, including 4 hijackers. So the hijackers boarded the plane from Athens, that is in Greece. Now the flight's name was Air France Flight 139, as you can see on the screen. Now let us know a bit more about these hijackers. Who were these 4 hijackers that boarded the plane from Athens, Greece? The flight was hijacked just by 2 Palestinians and 2 Germans. 4 the hijackers, of which 2 were Palestinians and 2 were Germans. And the flight was originally to depart from Paris, but the hijackers were very smart. They diverted the flight to Benghazi, Libya. Now, what happened? The plane now arrived at Entebbe Airport after 24 hours. Entebbe Airport, Uganda. Now, let us know. Now, hijackers to aise nahi aa jate na bin faltu. Hijackers must have some motto or some demands to fulfill. So, let us see what were the demands of the hijackers. Now, the hijackers, they declared and formulated their demands. They were very smart. They wanted a ransom amount of $5 million, and with $5 million, they wanted a release of their own 53 Palestinian and pro-Palestinian militants. They wanted the release of Palestinian militants. So these were the 2 demands: $5 million with the release of 53 Palestinians and pro-Palestinians militants, right? But there were some problems, Now this airplane, it took a halt at Entebbe Airport, as we saw in the starting. But what were the problems? Israel thought that Uganda would surely do something. Israel thought that yes, Ugandan government would surely oppose these hijackers and do something productive. But the Ugandan government was very strange, acted really strangely. What happened? The Ugandan government strangely supported the hijackers and dictator Idi Amin. Now, this Idi Amin is a very interesting figure in the human history. Now, this Idi Amin, who had been informed of the hijacking, instead of opposing the hijackers, he supported them. So Israel's government was like, what is this? So Ugandan government, instead of opposing the hijackers, they supported the hijackers, and Idi Amin personally welcomed the hijackers. Strange. The Israeli and now the hijackers, what did they do? They separated the Israeli and non-Israeli passengers because they weren't interested in non-Israeli passengers. They were interested in Israeli passengers itself, because after World War II, Israel and Palestinian conflicts, they started. So that's why this was all. And recently, Israel and Gaza, Israel-Palestinian conflict, you may have heard about it. I have made a special video. You are requested to check it on my channel. So Israeli and non-Israeli passengers, unko separate kiya jata hai by the hijackers, and they were kept into separate rooms. Meanwhile, some 148 non-Israeli hostages were released. Now they were, as I said, they were not interested in non-Israeli hostages, so they separated. They actually released them, 148 non-Israeli passengers, which included some women, women with children, elderly people, and the Israeli passengers and the crew members were threatened with death. So they were only interested with Israeli passengers and the crew members, of course, who will fly the plane if there are no crew members. So let us see who is this Idi Amin, strange figure. So one of the most brutal despots in the world history, Idi Amin of Uganda. 3 lakh civilians, can you imagine? During his tenure, he is alleged to kill, to massacre 3 lakh civilians, and he had 43 children. Now, can you imagine? 43 children. Many of his critics falsely call him a cannibal, a person who eats human flesh. And he was really tall and a very, very hefty man. And many say that he was a cannibal, but there are no such proofs that he ate human flesh, human body. So it is very, very strange. And what did the Israeli government do to rescue its people? Now, Israeli government, of course, has to do something to rescue its people. So the Israeli cabinet approved a rescue mission. Now it tried and negotiated with the hijackers that we'll give you this, you release our Israeli people. But it didn't work, of course. So the Israeli cabinet, they had only one option: to plan an attack to rescue their hostages. So Israeli cabinet approved a rescue mission presented by General Yekutil Adam and Brigadier Dan Shomron, who was appointed as the operation commander. And the PM, Prime Minister of Israel at that time, was Yitzhak Rabin, and the defense minister was Shimon Peres. Now, they even tried a political negotiation, as I said earlier, but the hijackers didn't listen to them. The only option left was to plan and plot a systematic attack to rescue their hostages. Now, there was another problem. What was the problem? While planning the raid, Israeli forces had to plan कि यार हमारा जो Hercules aircraft होगा उसे कहीं तो भी refuel करना पड़ेगा. There was a need to refuel the Hercules aircraft, which the Israelis were using to plan an attack on the hijackers. So ये Hercules aircraft से these Israelis were going to go to the Entebbe airport, and the plan was to rescue the hostages. So this Hercules aircraft, it needed much of the fuel, and for this the raid couldn't proceed without the help of at least one East African government. So they wanted to refuel somewhere. So for refueling, they had to land their airplane somewhere. And where should they land their airplane? So Kenya was a good place to do so. So Kenyan Minister at Rescue, Kenyan Minister Bruce Mackenzie, persuaded the Kenyan president to permit Israeli Air Force access to the Nairobi airport to refuel their Hercules aircraft. This was a small move, but of great importance. Then what was the Operation Thunderbolt? Let us see. Thriller. The task force flew over the Red Sea, mostly flying at a height of 100 feet to avoid the radar detection of Egyptian radars or Ugandan radars. So to avoid the radar system, they had to fly a bit higher. And the Israelis, after reaching the airport, ran straight towards the terminal. The commandos shouted through megaphones, looking at the hostages. The hostages were already very, very afraid. So anyone with a gun, when they saw anyone with a gun, they used to shout. So the Israeli commandos, they said that stay down. We are Israeli soldiers, cool down. So the hijackers were killed on spot. the fighter planes of Ugandan army. Of course, now Uganda will have to do something. They instead of opposing the hijackers, they have supported, they have welcomed the hijackers. So they have to do something for the hijackers. So they used their MiG-17 and MiG-21 Army Air Force, but they were on spot destroyed by the Israeli Air Force. And at the Entebbe airport, the two planes were destroyed. Moving on, there were casualties. Of course, any operation does not proceed with some of the casualties. Now, there were 106 total Israeli hostages, out of which 102 were safely brought back to Israel. 3 were unfortunately killed, and 1 was very badly left in Uganda, and 10 were wounded. Now, Jonathan Netanyahu, he was the Israeli unit commander. He was the part of the Operation Thunderbolt. He got killed. Now, Netanyahu, oh, can you recall someone named Netanyahu? Well, Benjamin Netanyahu. How are Jonathan Netanyahu and Benjamin Netanyahu related? They are brothers. Yes, Jonathan Netanyahu is the brother of Benjamin Netanyahu. So, unfortunately, Jonathan Netanyahu got killed during the Operation Thunderbolt. And the Israelis, they finished evacuating the hostages, loaded Jonathan's body into one of the planes, and they left. Moving on. Now, this Ugandan Idi Amin, he got to know कि अरे इजराइल ने नाक के नीचे से ये सब करतब किए हैं, and Israel they have successfully, they have evacuated, they have rescued their hostages. Then Ugandan leader Idi Amin, he said, "अरे ऐसे कैसे इजराइल ने कर लिया? अब मुझे तो बदला लेना है." So to take his badla, what did he do? You remember Bruce Mackenzie, Kenyan minister who helped Israel refuel the tanks? So he took the revenge by blowing the plane of Bruce Mackenzie, who was the Kenyan minister who helped Israeli aircrafts to refuel. So he was a strange man. This Idi Amin was a really strange man. And this was all about Operation Thunderbolt. I hope you guys enjoyed Operation Thunderbolt. And you must have heard Operation Thunderbolt somewhere or the other, but you must not have got a chance to know it in detail. So this was your chance, your opportunity, and you grabbed it. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Your support is highly appreciated. Thank you.